Going full-time into filmmaking is a huge gamble, no matter how perfect your plan looks on paper. And at the end of the day, what you're really betting on is your talent. So the lessons you learn can either make or break you. If you're new to this channel, my name is Colby. In the last 13 months, I went from working seasonal jobs at UPS and lawn care for the city of Redmond to having 2 amazing retainer clients and more side work than I could even handle. That year was filled with a lot of failures, a lot of uncertainty, and so many lessons. But because I made it through year 1, I have 3 big lessons to share with you if you're thinking about going full-time into filmmaking. Number 1, your network is your gold mine. That was my stomach. When you're starting out, do not overlook the people you already know. They are so much more powerful than any ad or any amount of cold outreach you could do. That was my stomach. A little over a year ago, I was looking back on the last 2 years of my life, which had been filled with doing real estate, side jobs like UPS and lawn care. I kind of looked at it as a waste of my time. What I didn't take into account was the network that I built along the way. At that point, I knew aspiring actors and people that just wanted to get in front of a camera, and this was perfect because I liked being behind the camera. At this point, I knew I had to build a portfolio to show people to actually get paid for my work. So that's what I did. I went headfirst into making spec work with really anyone who wanted to get in front of the camera. Some time passes after I'm making all this spec work and I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see a story and it says, looking for a full-time videographer. And guess who it is? It's a real estate agent that I knew prior, like 2 years ago, back when I was doing real estate. So here I was thinking that the last 2 years of my life were a waste because I wasn't focusing on filmmaking, and I have an opportunity right in front of me to apply for a full-time videography job from someone I met from real estate. Real estate, videography, and photography wasn't something I ever saw myself doing, but I ended up applying for the job and I beat out like 30 plus people who applied for that same position. Not only has that group allowed me to get my foot in the door into, full-time filmmaking and just making a living from my job, but they've provided so many other opportunities for me that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I just encourage everyone to reach out to who they already know, because if you're not, that's a huge missed opportunity. Lesson number 2, forget your niche, you're the niche. Right now, the entire world is telling you to pick a niche and stay in it, to be an expert in one category. So I understand this is unpopular opinion, but stay with me. I remember it was about a year ago when I first started in real estate videography and photography that one of my best friends told me to just focus only in real estate media. That way I could be an expert in real estate filmmaking and build an entire business around it. If I did that, I don't really think that I'd be enjoying my job so much. Matter of fact, it was because I didn't pick a niche before that I got this job to be a real estate videographer for this group. They really appreciated that I had a fresh new style that I could apply to the real estate industry, even if it meant that I had 0 experience taking any photo or video of homes. I can't believe I even still had that job after the first month. I mean, some of the first photos and the test photos and videos I did for them were absolutely terrible. He was saying a lot of things that sounded very smart and, they make complete business sense, but I knew in my heart it's not really what I wanted to do. I don't want to be known as the real estate videographer. I think after a few years of doing just that, I would feel completely burnt out and unfulfilled in that career. To further my point, if I solidified myself as a real estate videographer, I wouldn't have gotten a lot of the opportunities that I have in the past year. I've worked with people like Marcus Trufant and Trey Brown over the last year because I didn't just do real estate. There's been a few times when I've been kind of burnt out in life, and it's really been when I've just done one thing over and over. When I first got started in photography about like 10, 15 years ago, I would take a lot of photos of cars, and then I'd take a lot of photos of nature, and then the city, and then of people. And if I stuck with it for too long, like there was this once when I stuck with taking photos of the city for too long, I nearly wanted to quit after that because I was just doing the same thing over and over and over. And that's the least fulfilling thing that I could have done for myself. I was never pushing the boundaries and testing how far I could take things. So if I stick myself right now into real estate media, I wouldn't be pushing my limits and I wouldn't be doing all that I could. There's another creator named Dan Coe, and he always says to not niche yourself down, And he says the same thing as I do, that you are the niche. In one of his videos, he asked a very important question about the creators you yourself follow. And you would ask yourself if you follow them because they're a really good skateboarder or because of their personality and they skate and they just do what they want and they snowboard and they shoot guns on the weekends. It just seems to me that if you think a little bit harder about who you follow and who you admire, you probably admire them because of their personality and their uniqueness, not because they're super good at one thing. Lesson number 3 is all about just being honest and setting clear boundaries with any clients or employers you have. When I first got this position, it was to be a videographer and a photographer for this real estate group. Great deal, 40 hours a week, full time. I'm working with my camera and I'm getting paid for it. So I'm getting paid for my passion, which is awesome. I'm doing great work for this group, but it gets to a point where I feel like I need to push beyond that to avoid burnout. So I'm looking for new clients and I'm trying to find new work, and I didn't really talk to them about this. I figured on paper, in contract, I am a contractor, not an employee. What I knew at that time but wanted to ignore is that they really wanted me to themselves and they wanted me to work for only this group. They see me as an asset and as a team member more than a contractor. And so I started marketing myself to get more clients for myself so I could start making more money, so I could expand. They saw this and they were very confused and upset and they felt betrayed. It was almost like I used the portfolio that I gained from working with them to turn around and try and work with their competitors. Looking back on it, completely understand how that's a bad look for myself. We had so many conversations back and forth about what's expected of me, what I want to do, and what I originally agreed to. I think what especially made them feel betrayed is they knew I eventually wanted to make more money. They supplied me with someone who needed another full-time videographer. I do work for him too currently. They've already provided me with so much work to do, and they've put my name out there. They've accepted me to the team, and here I am trying to find more business, and I can see how it makes them feel like maybe working for them isn't good enough. No one's really right or wrong in this situation, but I think this entire thing could have been avoided if I was just more clear on my goals. Maybe we set better boundaries, and this was all talked about beforehand. I don't really want to go too in depth on this story just for privacy reasons, but I can't stress this enough. Just be extremely honest, have clear boundaries and expectations with anyone you're working with. Taking the leap into full-time filmmaking has been the most challenging, but also the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Looking back, it wasn't just my knowledge or my skills or my network that got me through that year, but it was my willingness to learn from my own mistakes. So if you're like me 1 year ago and you're thinking about taking the next step into full-time filmmaking, just take these lessons, keep them in your back pocket, remember about your network, your niche, and your boundaries. I think if you apply these lessons that I learned, hopefully you could avoid some of the mistakes. You'll do a lot better than I did in my first year. As I head into year 2 of full-time filmmaking, my main goal is to change from a run and gun one-man band into a slightly more professional way of filmmaking, bringing on a bigger crew, higher budgets, big productions, better visuals, all that kind of thing. Unless I'm doing spec work, it honestly feels like the stories and my vision is throttled by the kind of videography that I do. I really want to push beyond that to work on projects that allow for more intentional storytelling and creativity. Feel free to join me on my journey, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and wins too. If you appreciated any of these lessons that I shared, then hit the like button and leave a comment of what you want to hear me talk about next. Thanks for watching.